When I hear musicians play so beautifully with such like quality, I feel so calm and centered and like I've done nothing of artistic value with my life. Thank you. So, no, that really was beautiful. So before we get to the second show, does everyone have their drinks? That's the most important part. Yes? Fantastic. Yeah, there's howling up there, so you're happy. So before we get started, I was thinking of the theme tonight. I was going to tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was really, really sick with something called Crohn's disease. It's a very unglamorous disease to talk about. It's very visceral and disgusting. It involves a lot of poop. Poop, you're a poop machine. At that point, I had gotten down like 117 pounds. I had these Johnny Depp cheekbones, and people that only saw me on social media, like Instagram and stuff, they'd be like, "David, you look great," and I'd be like, "Thanks, I'm dying." It was not like a good time in my life. Now, at that point, I was just getting into storytelling and writing, and I had been catering for many years, but had sort of quit that. And one day, my friend who ran this catering company called me, and she's like, "David, I know you're not feeling well and you're not catering a lot right now, but there's a very special event coming up, a Christmas party, and I think when I tell you whose house it's at, you're gonna want to do it." And I immediately knew it was Whoopi Goldberg. Now, I mean, it wasn't like a psychic moment. I knew that this caterer worked sometimes with Whoopi Goldberg. Said caterer knew that I loved Whoopi Goldberg. Growing up in my little efficiency apartment with my single mom on Harry Wurzbach, I would stay up late. And you remember when HBO would show like awesome like comedy specials and like stand-up? Whoopi Goldberg had this amazing solo show called Whoopi, live on Broadway. And it was like, it's the thing that made her famous. And it's her doing these like 5 characters, and I would like sit up on the little fold-out bed and not really understand a lot of what it was, but it was funny and it was meaningful and it made me laugh and cry, which at that age was like, I was like, what's happening inside me? And it was just really informative. And I kept with her all the other years. I loved her in Ghost. I watched like Burglar, like I went there with Whoopi, do you know what I mean? I loved her on The View. When I was like bartending, I would like wake up late and have, breakfast, my omelet with Whoopi on The View. I loved her. So I was really, really psyched to go do this party. So we drive to her house, which is this beautiful, beautiful mansion, and we go inside, and she's immediately kind and lovely. She's everything that I want Whoopi Goldberg to be. She shows us her Christmas tree, and her Christmas lights were those little tiny leg lamps from A Christmas Story. You know, the stiletto? Like, all of them were strands of that. And I was like, who made these for you? And then she's like, Amazon. Like, she was just very down to earth, like, very cool, And as we're talking the whole time, I'm thinking, like, I need to have this moment where I say, Whoopi Goldberg, I just want you to know I'm working on a solo show. I'm really highly inspired by your character. I'm just, like, doing the whole thing, right? But also, like, cutting cheese and apples. So I'm there. One thing I do right when I get there is I realize I need to know where the bathroom is. And everyone tells me it's in the basement. There's like a washroom area, and they're like, that's the one you're going to use. And I'm like, okay, note to self, because like I case joints with this illness. It's like Dexter. I call it my dark passenger. It's like, where's the toilet? I need to know all the time. I'm out of the house. What's going to happen? So they tell me where it is, and I'm like, great. And someone's like, there's 12 bathrooms in this home, so you'll be okay. And I'm like, still good to know. So I'm in the kitchen, I'm like going through the thing I'm gonna tell Whoopi Goldberg, and she walks in, and she starts talking to us, and she's really cool, she's really down to earth, she's everything I want, she's wearing like the little John Lennon spectacles, she's dressed for no reason like a judge, do you know what I mean? Like just like a black like smock and some chunky shoe. She's like moving her braids out of the way. She's like complaining about the guests. Like you really get the feeling she just wants to hang out with the caterers and like talk shit. At one point she takes out a cigarette because it was like, she's like, today's the last day I'm gonna smoke. And she like turned the burner up on her gorgeous stove, pulled her braids up and lit that. She was like down, like she was down. Like there was no like, she was gonna hang out, you know what I mean? And we're talking to her, and she's so nice, and at a certain point she goes back into the party, and guests start arriving, so there's lots of guests, we're all going around the house, I'm going around, like, I have my cheese tart, would you like a cheese tart? Yes, this is a chicken tortilla, I'm doing the whole thing. At one point, she pulls me in to have a conversation with some soap opera star, and, like, introduces me, and I'm just like, like, I'm freaking out, right? Thinking, this one is amazing. And at one point, I'm, like, serving stuff, and I'm feeling my dark passenger, I'm like, oof. I need to get away from this. And right when I'm thinking that, there's a tap on my shoulder, and I turn, and it's Phil Donahue, who taught me what drag queens and DNA swab tests were. I love Phil Donahue, do you know what I'm saying? And he looks at me, and with a real sense of urgency, he says, I need a bathroom. And everything in my heart wants to be like, girl, I feel you. This is my, like, I don't know what your dark passenger is, but there's an urgency I sense, and we're gonna work this out. So there's a lot of people around. The only bathroom I know was the one downstairs, which is kind of like the laundry, like maid's quarters, but I take him down there. Since the party started, someone had taken out all these wet linens and hung them across the room. So Phil Donahue was behind me. He's like moving like wet blankets, and I'm like, Phil, it's this way. And he's like, where the hell are you taking me? And I'm like, the toilet. So it's like not the one I was supposed to take him to, you know what I mean? And I finally get to the bathroom and I open the door, and it's the first time I've seen it, and this weird transformer toilet greets us. It goes, and he looks at me, he's like, what the hell? And I'm like, I don't know how that works, Phil, but go nuts. I got cheese puffs ready. So I leave him, his wife Marla Thomas is down there. Have you seen Phil? And I'm like, he's with the transformer toilet. I go upstairs, serving food. It's like 2 hours, and I really need to get away. And finally the party ends, so all the caterers are wrapping up, and I'm like, I've got to go downstairs and use the bathroom. And as I leave, the other people, like, we're about to go, we're leaving in like 5 minutes, so let's hurry up. I'm like, okay, cool. So I run downstairs, I go in the, welcome, like the toilet, you know, and I sit down, and you know, when you have this disease, it's like rough. Like going to the bath, it's like I'm handling snakes and like shama, shama. It's like a religious experience in that Shane chamber with that robot, and it's just it's terrible. And when I'm done, I go to flush it, and there's nothing on the tank. There's no button or lever, and then I look, and there's this glowing grid of buttons on the wall. I mean, in my mind, there's 50 of them. In reality, there were probably 9. And I'm like, well, I just want to see a flush. I don't see anything that looks like that, but I see this like blue swirl shape. I'm like, that's got to do the trick. I push it. This cold blast of water just blast up. It's just like, whoa, Mrs. Goldberg. Like, it's so intense, right? So I'm trying to like get around on it. I want it on a different part. I want it to stop. So I start mashing the button, and it won't stop. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be like an off switch. I don't see an off switch. And I'm like, maybe another switch will disarm this. So I see like a red, like a water drop kind of signal, and I push it, and then I get some front zhuzh blast of warm water. I'm like, I guess this part's for ladies. I don't know what's happening. I don't want it there. It hurts. It is, so it's blasting me. So now I've got both ends, and I'm just like, you know, I just want to flush. So I look at the thing, and then I see like a series of waves, and I push it, and the whole thing goes brrrr, and the thing starts like rumbling underneath me, and I'm like, I'm at the rodeo at this point. The seat is so hot, and it's like heating it up, and then I just start like dumb Homer Simpson mashing my stupid hands on the thing, which turns on some sort of like a heating, like there's like, my balls are so hot. I'm sorry, it's just, but like hot air, just like, like a Game of Thrones dragon, just like, and the whole time, like, I want to get off the toilet, but like, you want to talk about a storm on a teacup, like, I need to flush this toilet. I am the only thing sealing the nightmare of this experience. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg's had to go downstairs and be like, God, you know, like, what happened? And I'm just mashing things, and I push everything. I push the triangle and the purple sphere and like the Sphinx, you know, like I push like every single button on the thing, and then all of a sudden I start to hear honking. The caterers are honking. I hear someone on the window be like, David! They're like, where's David? An engine starts. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like trapped in here. And I take a breath, and I have that kind of like, you know, when you're like, you lose control of your car and you kind of white out for a minute, and like you have a real namaste moment, and I look, and right in the middle of all the buttons, right in the middle, it's the only black button on the whole thing. It just says stop. It's been there the whole time. And I push it. Power down, like the whole thing calms down. I get up. I sort of pull myself together. My butt has never been cleaner or more zhuzhed. And I put on my clothes, and as I put on my like normal non-penguin suit, I hear the honk again. Honka outside, and I'm like, oh God, and I run up the stairs. And I run into the kitchen. All the guests are gone. The caterers are in the car waiting for me. And at the end of this beautiful kitchen in this stained glass breakfast nook is just Whoopi Goldberg, her daughter, and her granddaughter. 3 generations of Goldbergs. That's it. And they're just staring at me. And I'm like, I have my backpack, and Whoopi Goldberg says, baby, come on over here. And I feel like Joe Beth Williams in that Poltergeist scene with the hall, Carolyn! Like the hallway gets so, and I'm like, like coming towards her. And then I finally get to Whoopi Goldberg, and she throws her arms around me, and she hugs me, and she like smells like roses and cinnamon. She smells like amazing, and I'm hugging her. I'm like, oh my God, this is like a legend. And then we stop hugging, and she looks in my eyes, and I want to say all that stuff, but instead I just say, I want you to know I finally, how you highly inspirational, and you have amazing toilets. And then I literally, run out of her kitchen, just like get me away from the Goldberg. I'm so embarrassed. And I jump in the car and we drive away. I did another event at her house like 2 months later, which was like her Christmas party, and she hires the Macy's Santa Claus, and he actually pulls up in the driveway horses that are outfitted to look like reindeers, and she gives children Christmas presents, and it's like their psyches break. Like they know it's real. They're like, Santa's really real. Like they're freaking out. Like they've seen something terrifying. It was like the funnest party. But the whole time I was there, we just kept having little moments where like I would bring like a brioche, you know, a little cheese puff, a little bit of like mango, and she would look at me and she'd go, just a little wink, like, you were crazy on my toilet, boy. Like that was like the attitude I got. She was amazing. And that was my standoff with Whoopi Goldberg's toilet. They're Japanese and they're very expensive.